London's Heathrow Airport has announced it will open a 5th arrival and departure terminal in a year from now. The expansion will ease congestion at Europe's biggest airport. It's a hub for nearly 100 airlines from all around the world, but most of them won't get to use the new facilities. Jim Bolden takes a look at how work is progressing.
1 year to go, and Heathrow's owner, BAA, says Terminal 5 is on time and at $8 billion on budget. There are so many ways to describe the sheer size of the 400-meter-long building. It's the largest single-span structure in the UK. Some 50 football fields could fit inside. And if the new terminal was a standalone airport, it would be one of the 10 largest in Europe.
It is very big, but I like to stress not so much the scale of it. I mean, that's to process 30 million passengers a year, that you need something this big. But really, I think the experience is what it's all about. Even though it's a big building, you shouldn't get lost. It should have intimate areas where people feel comfortable as they're being processed through it.
The terminal is about 90% complete, and soon the 144 bars and restaurants and shops will start to be kitted out. This is the space for the world-famous British chef Gordon Ramsay to put in his first ever airport restaurants.
Along with Ramsay's restaurant, there will be the first Tiffany's in a European airport. There will even be a Krispy Kreme, complete with a special Terminal 5 donut. And though Terminal 5, or T5, doesn't open until next March, workers have a much earlier deadline.
We've got 6 months, really, to finish the construction. And then in mid-September, we start the trials, which will prove whether or not what we've built actually works and get it to actually operate.
After all, airport openings are often delayed thanks to glitches.
If there's one issue that causes headaches at new airports and terminals, it's baggage. That's why BAA has already spent more than a full year testing the systems here at Terminal 5.
You might think all this would be for a number of airlines. Not so. The only occupant will be British Airways. Almost all of its Heathrow flights will leave from T5. And with the vast majority of BA's passengers expected to check in online, there are fewer check-in desks than you might expect. After T5 opens, Heathrow plans to merge 2 of its older terminals into a new building. So this won't be called Terminal 5 for long.
You can see from the iconic building here, from the control tower and from the new buildings that will go into the central terminal area, there will be a whole rebranding. Part of that will be the renaming of the terminals.
All this planned in time for one of the capital's other major building projects, the 2012 Summer Olympics. Jim Bolden, CNN, London.
Well, joining me now is Leo Murray, who's a member of the campaigning group Plain Stupid, and you oppose the opening of Terminal 5. Why?
We do. I mean, given what we now know about climate change and about aviation's role in causing it, really, the opening of new airport capacity is not something that we should be celebrating.
But at the same time, if you look at the figures in terms of carbon emissions, you know, air travel is actually a fraction of what road travel is.
Now, that's true globally, and at the moment it's true on a national level as well. But for the UK, aviation emissions already account for 7.4% of our CO2, but that doesn't include their full global warming impact, which, because of radiative forcing, other non-CO2 emissions, and the fact that CO2 is actually emitted in the upper atmosphere, the global warming effect of the CO2 emitted from air travel is 2.5 times as serious as the CO2 effect itself, which basically means that already in the UK, aviation emissions account for about 18.5% of our global, of our greenhouse gas emissions.
This terminal is a fait accompli. It's going to open up a year from now. So really, you're pointing out, you know, the consequences of opening up this terminal. Why don't you put your efforts elsewhere? Let's say trying to lobby the airplane manufacturers, for instance. Well,
lobbying airplane manufacturers is not going to get us the results that we need in terms of CO2 cuts. You know, in the UK, the government has a massive airport expansion plan. Heathrow is only one part of that. And if it goes ahead, we are going to treble passenger numbers by 2030. And this is at the same time as the UK government has just signed up to a climate bill committing us to cut our CO2 emissions by 60% by 2050. These two things are impossible. They're completely incompatible goals.
People have already pointed out, and you're right to point this out, that, you know, the two are incompatible, and there's a lot of question marks over whether these goals are achievable. But what do you see as an alternative for people? As you're well aware, a lot of people need to take business flights, for instance, to and video conferencing is not an effective way for them to do business.
Well, it may not be an effective way for them to do business yet. We don't have a culture of video conferencing in the business world, and I appreciate that. But actually, the massive growth which we're looking at in air travel is not coming from business passengers. It's coming from people taking leisure flights. And now those are not necessary.
But if they don't take the leisure flights, they're going to be driving cars, and that's going to add to emissions. And you told me even before, while you and I were talking earlier, that you yourself take car travel, which adds to the emissions problem.
Well, I don't think it's a straight get off a plane and get onto a car. I don't think you can quite equate that. But it's true to say...
If people are going to take holidays, they've got to, get there somehow.
Well, we espouse rail travel, and actually we're not against all air travel. I mean, it's frankly impossible to travel to Japan by any other means. What we're against is the massive growth in short-haul flights, and that most of this growth is going to take place at Heathrow. It's going to take place in flights from Heathrow to Prague to Paris, 60 flights a day from Heathrow to Paris. There's a very good rail link that people could be taking instead.
Okay, Leo Murray, who is against the opening of Terminal 5 and a member of the campaigning group Plain Stupid, thanks for your thoughts today.
No problem. Thank you.